Okay, you know the scene. You pull into a parking garage or a service station, and you see them, the EV chargers, bolted right into the concrete. They're like these permanent fixtures of our electric future, right? But here's the thing. They also represent a huge, permanent bet. A bet that you've picked the absolute perfect spot for years, maybe even a decade. Well, today, we're going to talk about something that completely challenges that entire idea.
Seriously, what if you could put a high-performance, fast charger exactly where you need it, but only when you need it? And if customer traffic dries up, or a better spot opens up down the road, what if the charger could just move? That's the big question we're digging into.
So before we jump to the cool new tech, let's really sit with the problem for a second. Putting in a traditional DC fast charger, it's a massive deal. It is a super high-stakes, long-term bet on one single physical location.
And when you put them side by side, the difference is just wow. On one side, you have the old way. Months of dealing with permits, digging up the ground, pouring concrete, and once it's in, it is in. It's not going anywhere for years. If you guessed wrong and nobody uses it, congratulations. You're now the proud owner of a very expensive, dead asset. But then you look at the Cargar extension model and it just flips the whole script. No massive construction project. You can move it in a matter of hours. It's basically plug and play, which completely changes the amount of risk you're taking on.
So how do you solve the problem of getting stuck? Simple. You make the power itself mobile. Let's meet the Cargar X10 Exten. And just so we're all on the same page, that's pronounced extension.
So here's the bottom line. It's a portable DC fast charger that gives you all the good stuff from a fixed station. You know, the speed, the power, but it gets rid of the single biggest headache, that permanent, super costly installation. And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? It's the perfect way to think about it. As far as your car is concerned, it's just a normal, powerful fast charger. But for the company that owns it, it's not a permanent part of the building anymore. It's a piece of equipment you can move around just like any other tool, to wherever it's going to be the most useful.
Okay, I know what you're thinking, because I thought it too. Whenever you hear the word portable, your brain immediately thinks compromise, right? You think smaller, weaker, slower, just less capable? So does putting wheels on a fast charger mean you're gutting its performance?
And the answer, let me be very clear, is no, absolutely not. This is probably the most important thing to get. From your car's perspective, there is zero difference. The speed you get, the amount of power, all the safety features, it is identical to a regular fixed charger of the same rating. All that flexibility is for the business owner, not the driver. You still get the fast charge you're hoping for every single time. This idea of flexibility, it's not just a neat feature. It creates some huge advantages. It gives you freedom from being locked in, and that's what turns a potential liability, like a charger nobody uses, into a flexible, money-making asset. So what's the first major win? Well, it's the most obvious one. You get to skip the massive headache of installation. I mean, just think about it. You're taking a process that normally takes months, planning, getting permits, all the construction, and you're shrinking it down to basically just delivering it and plugging it in. You can get a charging station up and running in a tiny fraction of the time, which saves a ton of money right off the bat. All right, the second big advantage. This is where the strategy gets really, really smart. This is the game changer.
Okay, so say you put a charger at a new shopping center, but it turns out it's a total dud. Hardly anyone uses it. In the old world, you'd be stuck with a terrible investment. Now, you just move the charger. You put it somewhere busier. The risk of picking the wrong spot practically vanishes.
And being able to move it leads us right to our third big point. You can actually maximize the return you get on this thing.
Because you can move the charger to where the people are, you can make sure it's almost always busy, always making money. You can literally chase the demand. Send it to a big music festival for a weekend. Move it to a popular beach town just for the summer. You're constantly getting the most use out of it, and that means a way faster and bigger return on your investment.
Okay, so we've covered the why this is so cool. Now let's get practical. Let's look at the how and the where. How does this actually work in the real world? Well, first off, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. The Cargar extension comes in different power levels for different jobs. That 30 kilowatt version, it's perfect for places where cars are going to be parked for a while anyway, like a car dealership service bay or an office building. But for a busy warehouse with a fleet of electric vans or a temporary charging spot along a highway, you'd bring in the big guns, the 60 or 80 kilowatt models, to get those vehicles juiced up and back on the road fast. It's all about matching the tool to the job.
And this is where it gets really fun to think about.
Imagine having a fleet of these things ready to go. You could pop up a whole charging hub for the Super Bowl or serve a ski resort that's packed in the winter but dead in the summer. You could even use one to test out a new highway route to see if there's enough traffic to justify building a permanent station there later. The possibilities are huge.
So when you add all this up, what you get is a totally different way of thinking. It's a whole new strategy for how we build out our charging infrastructure.
And this right here is the ultimate takeaway. Instead of the old build it and hope they come model, this lets you test first, then invest with confidence. You can use a portable cargo extension charger to get real-world data on a new location. See how many people actually use it. Prove that it's a good spot, and only then do you spend the big bucks on a permanent installation. It's just a smarter, data-driven, and way less risky way to do business. What this tech really does at the end of the day is it reframes the whole conversation. EV charging stops being this slow, expensive real estate problem. Instead, it becomes a fast, agile, flexible mobility service. The infrastructure finally becomes as dynamic as the cars themselves.
It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? As we build the charging networks of the future, are we going to keep pouring concrete and locking ourselves into today's decisions? Or are we going to embrace a smarter, more adaptable, and mobile approach? It really seems like the future of charging might not be stuck in one place after all.